Hey everyone, welcome back, and let's write some more Leetcode today. So today let's solve combination sum 4. So we're skipping the first 3, but they're all pretty similar, so I'll probably be solving the other ones at some point. And this problem isn't really built on top of the previous problem, so it's a good individual problem to solve. So we're given an array of distinct integers, so there's no duplicates. And we're also given a target number that we want to sum up to. And so our job is just to return the total number of possible combinations we can take from nums that add up to this target value. But that description is a little bit misleading. So for example, let's say this is our input array and the sum is 4 that we're looking for. One possible sum is 1, 1, 2, right? 1 plus 1 plus 2 is going to be 4. Now we count 1 plus 2 plus 1 as a different combination. I think that's a little weird that they do that. It's more of a permutation, but that's okay. So just keeping that distinction in mind, they tell us different orderings of the same values that sum up to target are counting as different combinations. But in some ways that actually makes our problem a little bit easier. So for example, let's say we want to brute force this, right? We just want to know how many possible ways can we take these 3 numbers and sum up to 4. Well, we're just going to start brute forcing, right? So what would our decision tree look like? Well, we have 3 choices initially. We can add 1, we can add 2, or we can add 3. And so when we do that, our sum is going to be 1, 2, and 3 respectively, right? Because initially our sum was 0. Okay, so I realized I was going to run out of room earlier, so we moved it over to here, but we're continuing the problem, right? So we have 1, 2, and 3, right? Now, since we have an unlimited copy of each of these, we're going to keep brute forcing it, right? So now we have a sum of 1. There's no reason why we can't just continue this, right? There's no reason why we can't add each of the 3 values available to us. So we're just going to keep doing that. Our goal is to get the total number of ways we can add up to 4. Each of these paths in the decision tree is going to lead to a different result, right? Because the ordering matters. So even if over here I get a 1 and then I get a 2, and then maybe from over here I get 1 and 1, they both add up to 4, but these 2 paths are always going to count as different combinations. So we can add another 1, which is going to make our sum be 2. We can add a 2, which is going to make our sum be 3. And then we can add a 3, which is going to make our sum be 4. Now, once we get to 4, that's our base case, right? Remember, we're looking for the target equals 4. So once we get to 4, we know any more number that we add. For example, we add a 1, it's going to be 5, right? We're always going to get greater than the target, so we don't want to continue anymore. Basically, we can say that we found one combination, right? This is the path, but we don't really care about the path, right? We care about the total number of ways we can do this. Now, let's once again continue our decision tree. So from here, okay, so this is going to be the next layer of the decision tree. So over here, we can see we went over the target value, right? So we're going to stop. We're not going to continue going. This is another base case if we become larger than the target that we're looking for. But in this case, we can't add this to our total. This was not a combination that added up to 4, so therefore we can't count it towards the result. Over here, though, we do see that we found an exact target 4, so we can count that to our result. So far, we have 2. And over here, we're still less than the target, so we're just going to continue going on. So we can add a 1, we can add a 2, and we can add a 3. So I'm running out of room, but that's okay. So here we can see we get another 4. Here we end up getting a 5, we go over. And once again, over here, we go over to 6. So these 2 were larger than the target. We're going to stop, and these don't count towards the result. This one, though, did add up exactly to the target 4, so we are counting that towards the result. So at this point, you might think I'm just going to continue doing the entire decision tree, but that is going to be a lot of work, and I'm really lazy. I don't want to do that. Can we notice a pattern? Is there a lot of repeated work that we're doing? Notice how originally we started at 0. We wanted to know how many possible ways we could add up to the target 4. We got 3 sub-problems, 1, 2, and 3. So down this path, we wanted to know how many possible ways can we add up to the target if we're starting at 1. What was the result of that? Notice how we got 1, 2, 3 different ways we could add up to the target if we start at 1. Now I want to know how many ways can we add up to the target if we start at 2, and how many ways can we do it if we start at 3. Notice how we already computed that. look over here. We're looking for 2, right? We already have a 2 over here. How many different ways were we able to add up to the target when we started at 2? Notice how this node over here, right? This node has 2 green children, 2 different ways it was able to add up to the target. So therefore, if I'm looking for how many ways we can do it, I know it's exactly 2. So I'm just going to add 2 green circles over here just to indicate that there's 2 different ways. We don't really care how we got there. We know that if we're starting at 2, there's 2 different combinations that can get us to 4. And the same is true for 3, right? We have a 3 over here, right? So we already made the decision tree starting at 3. How many different ways were we able to add up to the target? Notice how we have a single way. So basically, if we're wanting to know down this path, how many different ways are we going to add up to 4? There's going to be a single way. So I'm just going to add a single green circle over here. And actually, I almost forgot, we also have another 3 over here, right? But the good thing is, again, since it's another 3, right? We already did a 3 over here, and we already did a 3 over here. So we know exactly how many ways down this decision tree we're going to add up to the target 4. We know it's just going to be a single green one, right? So now let's just take a look at all the green circles we have. So basically, this was one way we could get to the target. This was another. This was another. That's 3. This is 4. This is 5. This is 6. And this is 7. So that's pretty messy. Let's get rid of that. But overall, we ended up with 7 different ways that we could add up to the target. And by the way, how am I going to cut down on that repeated work? I didn't mention, but we're going to basically be using a cache. So this is going to be a one-dimensional cache. The value that we're going to use as the key for our cache is basically going to be what's remaining. So instead of, like in this case, we were using 3. Instead of using 3, I'm actually going to use what's remaining. So for example, we're trying to add up to the total 4. So over here, we already have 3. So what I'm going to say is 4 minus 3 equals 1. This is how much we're looking for, right? This is how much additional sum that we need. So that's what I'm actually going to be using in the cache. And since the size of our cache is big O of n, and for any particular target value, for example, whether it's 1 or 2 or 3 or 4, we are going to at least have to try at least every single one of the values that we have in our nums array. So the overall time complexity is going to be n, where n is basically the target value that we're looking for, multiplied by the size of our input array. Let's just say that that's m. So the time complexity as well as the memory complexity is going to be big O of n times m. So this is basically the top-down memoization if we are using a cache, but I can also do this bottom up, right? So instead of starting up here at this tree and trying to work our way down, let's start at the smallest values and then work our way up, basically the dynamic programming approach. So one thing to notice though for the bottom up dynamic programming approach is what's our base case. So for example, we want to know how many ways we can add up to the target of 4, right? So this is ultimately what we're looking for, DP of 4, right? So we're going to start at the bottom, which is DP of 0. So what is this? How many different ways are we able to sum to the target value of 0? Well, every value in our input array is always going to be positive. So we can just say basically as our base case, DP of 0 is just going to be 1. Next, we're going to end up calculating DP of 1, basically by trying every value in our input, seeing if any of them end up equaling 1. So this is going to be our base case, right? But for, let's say, an arbitrary value like target equals 4, how are we going to add up to this? Well, if we compute every single other DP, for example, let's say we already have DP of 1, we have DP of 2, and we have DP of 3. How can we figure out how many different ways we can add up to DP of 4? Well, we're going to take every single value in our input array. We're going to say DP of 4 minus 1 plus DP of 4 minus 2, which is another value in our input array, plus DP of 4 minus 3, which is another value in our input array, right? Basically what we're doing here is for 4, we're going down every 3 decisions that we can make with any of these input values, right? It's not different from the decision tree that we drew. It's just that we're doing this bottom up. So we're going to have double loops, which is going to make the time complexity big O n times m. So now with this being said, once you know this and you know the base case, that's all we need. So now let's get into the code. So we are going to initialize our DP, or you can call it a cache, whatever you want, as with one key value. I'm going to use a hash map. You could use a two-dimensional array, but I'm going to use a hash map. Remember, the base case is 0. We're going to map that to 1. So there's one way we can add up to 0. Then we're going to go through every total which we're trying to compute, right? Every sum that we're trying to compute in the range from 1 all the way up to the target value that we're trying to compute it for. And then we're going to return what the total number of combinations for that target value happens to be. So initially, we're going to say for this total that we're currently at, okay, not cache, we called it DP. For this total value, we're going to initially set it to 0. There's 0 ways that we can add up to this total, but we know that might not be the case. So now let's go through every n value in our nums input array. Now we're not going to look at this total. Now we want to look at the subproblem. For example, dp of total minus n. We want how many different ways we could do this, right? So we're going to say dp of total to the total number of ways we can add up to this total value. We're going to add to that the total number of ways we can add up to this, but this might not actually be in our input array. This might be a negative number, right? That's not in our input array. So to get around that, there's a function in Python that we can say get this key value from our input array if it exists. If it does not exist, just return 0. So that's what I'm going to do. And believe it or not, this is the entire code. It's probably easier than you might have thought, but that's it. Once we have that, we've basically computed every number of combinations for every value from 1 all the way up to our target value. So we can just go ahead and return the number of combinations we can add up to this target value that we're given. So I hope this was helpful. If it was, please like and subscribe, and feel free to suggest more problems that I can do in the future. And yeah, please like and subscribe. It supports the channel a lot, and I'll hopefully see you pretty soon. Thanks for watching.